Wanda sits alone in the dim light of her living room, her phone held in her trembling hands. She stares at the screen, reading the message again and again. I'm done, Wanda. I want a divorce. Shock washes over her face as she exhales a shaky breath, unable to comprehend how it came to this. The silence of the room is deafening as she slowly places the phone down on the table. Her mind races through memories of the past. A crowded party, her joking loudly at James's expense, laughing at his inability to defend her from others. The image of his strained smile haunts her. Then, the argument in their kitchen flashes before her eyes, his hurt voice telling her, "You don't respect me, Wanda." Her dismissive response only pushing him further away. The final image lingers, the sight of James walking out the door, suitcase in hand, leaving their life behind. Back in the present, Wanda is left with nothing but the haunting thought. It all started with one joke too many. Wanda, 34, is a force to be reckoned with, intense, driven, and always in control. She's the kind of woman who takes charge in every aspect of her life, from her career to her personal relationships. James, 36, on the other hand, is laid back, passive, and content to go with the flow. Their dynamic has always worked in a way that Wanda leads, and James follows. He's the easygoing counterpart to her fiery ambition, always supportive but rarely vocal about his own needs or desires. To Wanda, their relationship has been solid. She's confident in their love, believes they're a team, and assumes James is just as happy as she is. But what Wanda doesn't see, what she has always overlooked, is the quiet resentment building inside James. He's never been one to confront her or push back, always choosing peace over conflict. But deep down, he's been quietly suffering, his feelings of neglect and frustration growing with each passing day. Wanda, consumed by her own world, has no idea that the very things she thinks make their relationship strong, the jokes, the control, her dominance, are the things pushing James further away. He's not the man who makes waves, but as he watches Wanda take center stage in every situation, he can't help but wonder if she even sees him at all. It's the subtle moments, the quiet sighs, the withdrawn smiles, that she fails to notice. And now, it's all coming to a head. The scene cuts to a crowded house party, the kind where the music is loud and everyone is laughing, spilling drinks, and sharing stories. Wanda is in her element, surrounded by a group of friends, cracking jokes and commanding the attention of the room. She's the center of it all, always the life of the party, always making people laugh. James, on the other hand, is sitting off to the side, half smiling, trying to fit into the background. He's not one for crowds, not one for drawing attention to himself, but he's there to support Wanda. As she holds court, making everyone laugh, he sips his drink, feeling the weight of the noise, the buzz of the conversation, the feeling of being a little too invisible. Then, in the middle of a story, Wanda turns to him with a playful grin. "Look at him," she teases, nodding toward James. "He couldn't protect me if he tried." The group bursts into laughter, the room echoing with amusement. Wanda's joke is lighthearted, but it stings. To her, it's all fun, harmless teasing. To James, it feels like a jab, a reminder that he's not the strong, confident man she thinks he is. He's the quiet, passive one, the one who's always there but never really seen. His smile falters, and a tension begins to build, creeping through the room unnoticed. The laughter fades, and James doesn't respond. Instead, he quietly stands up from his seat. No grand statement, no confrontation. He just gets up and walks out of the room. There's a moment of silence. The door shuts behind him with a soft thud. Wanda's laughter dies down, and the mood shifts. People glance at Wanda awkwardly, unsure whether they should follow James or say something to her. Wanda stands still for a beat, looking around at the group, confused and a little embarrassed. The weight of the moment settles in, the realization that James didn't find her joke funny, that maybe, just maybe, he was hurt. But she's too caught up in her own world to know how to fix it. Instead, she brushes it off and turns back to the group, but the awkwardness lingers in the air, unnoticed by her but keenly felt by those who are watching. The damage has been done, and it's only just beginning to unfold. The next morning, Wanda wakes up expecting everything to go back to normal. She brushes off the awkwardness from last night, convinced that James will move on quickly. After all, it was just a joke, right? But when she walks into the kitchen, she's greeted with a cold silence. James is sitting at the table, sipping his coffee, his eyes fixed on the paper in front of him. He doesn't even look up when she enters. Wanda assumes he's just tired, maybe a little off, but as she gets closer, she can feel the tension in the air. She offers a bright, casual greeting, but he doesn't respond. Her smile fades. "James?" she asks, her voice a little softer now. Still, he says nothing. The silence is thick, uncomfortable. Finally, he puts the paper down and looks her in the eye, the weight of his words hanging heavy. "You humiliated me," he says, his voice steady, but with an edge of hurt. Wanda freezes. She hadn't expected this. "What?" she responds, laughing it off, unsure whether she should be worried or defensive. "Come on, it was just a joke," she insists, her tone casual, almost dismissive. But James doesn't seem to be budging. He leans forward slightly, his expression hardening, and his next words hit her like a slap. "You don't respect me, Wanda," he says, the hurt clear in his voice now. The room feels smaller, the air heavier. Wanda feels a rush of frustration. What is he talking about? She tries to laugh it off again, but this time, there's no humor in her voice. "What are you talking about? It was just some light teasing. I didn't think you'd take it like that." She crosses her arms, her patience starting to wear thin. "You really can't be serious about this, James. It's not a big deal." But the tension between them grows with every word, every passing second. James doesn't raise his voice, but his silence speaks volumes. Wanda is suddenly aware that he's not just upset about last night. He's been bottling up something for a while. Something deeper than a simple joke gone wrong. She can't understand why he's still so angry, why it's eating at him like this. The frustration builds inside her. Why can't he just let it go? The morning feels heavy, loaded with unspoken emotions. Wanda doesn't know how to fix it, and James isn't offering her the chance to. The divide between them widens as the tension escalates, and for the first time, Wanda realizes that the cracks in their relationship might be deeper than she ever thought. Over the next few weeks, James begins to change in subtle yet noticeable ways. It starts with small things. He begins going out more often with his friends, making plans without consulting Wanda first. At first, it's nothing major, just an evening out with his buddies, an impromptu game night, a few drinks here and there. But the more he does it, the more it starts to chip away at the routines they once had. He's not asking for her approval anymore. He's not waiting for her to agree or to come with him. His decisions are his own now. He stops being the passive partner, the one who always goes along with whatever Wanda has planned. Instead, he takes the lead. In conversations, he's more assertive. He speaks up more, his voice carrying a new sense of confidence that wasn't there before. He challenges her opinions, even jokes back when she teases him, and for the first time in their relationship, he's not letting her dominate the conversation. Wanda notices the shift, but doesn't know how to respond. It's a small thing at first, but the more time passes, the more it bothers her. She feels uneasy, like the dynamic she's always relied on is slipping through her fingers. James is changing, but so is the space between them. She can't help but feel like she's losing control, She watches him come and go with a quiet discomfort, her mind racing. What happened to the man who used to follow her lead without question? Why is he so different now? Finally, unable to shake the feeling that something is wrong, Wanda confronts him one evening. They're sitting in the living room, the tension between them palpable. She looks at him, her voice tight with frustration. "You're acting different," she says, the words sharp and accusing. "What's going on, James?" For a moment there's silence. James doesn't look at her. He's fiddling with the remote, flipping through channels absently, but Wanda can tell he's heard her. Then, without looking up, he speaks. His tone is calm, but there's an undercurrent of something raw beneath it. "I've let things slide for too long," he says, his voice steady but firm. "I need to stand up for myself." Wanda feels a sharp sting at his words. She's taken aback, unsure how to respond. His words echo in her mind. Stand up for himself. And she suddenly realizes that he's been swallowing his feelings for years, putting her needs before his own. But now, it's like a switch has flipped. He's no longer content to play the passive role in their relationship. He wants to be heard, and that realization hits Wanda like a ton of bricks. She feels a wave of guilt wash over her, but it's quickly replaced by frustration. Why didn't he speak up sooner? She wants to argue, to defend herself, but the words don't come. Instead, all she can do is sit there, watching as James pulls away, more and more each day. After the tension builds, James, ever so calm but determined, suggests they go to counseling. He sees it as a last-ditch effort to save what's left of their relationship. Wanda pretends to agree, nodding along, even promising she'll make the call. It's what James wants to hear, and for a while, Wanda convinces herself that it's enough to give him the reassurance he needs. But deep down, she knows she doesn't actually want to go through with it. She's not ready to face the things they need to confront. She brushes it off, hoping the issue will fade on its own. But days turn into weeks, and nothing happens. She never schedules the appointments, never brings it up again. James notices. He's quiet about it at first, but as time drags on, the silence becomes more telling. He starts to see the pattern. Wanda says one thing, but does nothing. He realizes that, despite her words, she's not really invested in fixing things. He feels it in the growing distance between them, in the lack of effort on her part. The counseling was supposed to be the lifeline, the bridge back to what they once had. But now he knows it was just another excuse, and that realization hits him harder than anything else. Finally, the moment arrives, a final confrontation. James can no longer ignore the signs. They're sitting at the kitchen table, the air thick with unspoken words. Wanda tries to smile, to pretend things are okay, but it's obvious James is no longer playing along. He looks at her, his expression calm but resolute, and says, "You never planned to fix this. You don't respect me, and I'm done." His words land with a heaviness that Wanda can't deny. For a moment she laughs, trying to downplay the gravity of the situation, like it's some kind of joke. "Come on, James, we can fix this," she says, the words trembling on the edge of desperation. But inside, she feels the panic begin to rise. Then, James speaks again, his tone unshaken, as if he's made up his mind long ago. "I want a divorce," he says, the finality of it hanging in the air like a cold wind. Wanda's laughter dies in her throat. Her body stiffens, and for a moment, she can't process it. Her mind races, and she goes through a whirlwind of emotions, denial, disbelief, anger, all fighting to break through the shock. "What do you mean?" "No, you can't," she starts, but her words falter. She stands up, pacing, trying to gather herself, but the panic is settling in. How did it come to this? What happened to the man who used to let me control everything? But James doesn't argue. He doesn't fight her. He simply sits there, staring at her with a quiet strength. His decision is made. Wanda can see it in his eyes. He's already gone, mentally checked out. She breaks down, falling into a mix of tears, anger, and helplessness. She pleads, she begs, but James doesn't budge. He's not angry. He's not shouting. He's just done. There's nothing left to say, and nothing left to fix. Wanda stands alone in their empty home, the silence echoing in every room. The walls, once filled with laughter and the promise of a future together, now feel like a hollow reminder of everything she's lost. The familiar spaces seem foreign now, like a part of her is missing. She moves through the house aimlessly, touching old photographs, standing in the spots where memories were made, each one now a distant, painful echo. The realization hits her slowly, like a wave crashing over her, and it's almost too much to bear. I always thought I was the strong one in our relationship. But now I see. I was just the one who never listened. The words hang in the air as she stares at the photo of them together, smiling, so full of promise. The truth is undeniable now. She never truly heard him. She never understood the weight of the little things, the silent moments where he quietly withdrew, the subtle signs that he was losing himself. By the time I realized he was serious, it was too late. The weight of those words presses down on her chest, and she collapses onto the couch, staring blankly at the empty space where he used to sit. Her thoughts race, but nothing seems to make sense anymore. She's lost him, and for the first time, she sees the full scope of her actions, the hurt she caused, and the things she neglected. There's no fixing it now. The door is closed, and she's left to pick up the pieces. Respect in a relationship isn't just about love. It's about making sure your partner feels valued. Sometimes you don't realize what you had until it's gone. The final words linger in the silence, and Wanda, now alone, finally understands the truth. The screen fades from the emotional closing shot of Wanda sitting alone, gazing at a picture of her and James, to a simple, poignant message on the screen. On-screen text or narration. Have you ever experienced something similar? Let's talk about it in the comments. Wanda's eyes linger on the photo for a moment longer, the weight of the loss heavy in her gaze. The screen transitions to the next message. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life lessons and relationship drama. As the words appear, the screen slowly fades to black, leaving a lingering sense of reflection. The last shot is Wanda, still holding the photo, her face a mix of regret and realization, as the image of her and James slowly fades out. The silence is deep, and the message is clear. Sometimes the most painful lessons are learned too late.